glad to see you made it. You know I didn't think you'd show.
Yeah, so thanks again for taking some time to talk about this epic 12-track album that you all have delivered. I think we're beyond EP at this point. We call it an album at this.
Yeah, it's 47 minutes. Incredible. I added it up.
That's so cool. It's called Our Side of the Wall, and you kept the name Taboo from last session, right? So, yeah, and all of you were in last session, although Brody new member this time.
Yep.
Yeah, how was it joining up with this group? You did a ton of vocals, obviously, but also I'm sure you had to sort of fit into the writing, comfortable and all of that.
Yeah. It was a good experience. I was kind of trying more. My big goal was just kind of trying to get the feel for, like, I don't know, just this whole program, I guess, because I did the cover band stuff. Now I was just trying to do the never done the songwriting band things, and it worked out conveniently. Will was able to do the guitar parts for the song for me because I was in a short time constraint because I had to leave for Florida. And I think it was 11 days after one of our meetings, and they were like, okay. So I had to record everything, and then he hooked me up with the guitar, so all I had to do was the vocals.
Nice. Yeah, and I saw everybody has at least one songwriting credit on the record. If I've got that.
At least two.
Everybody's got at least two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Way to pass it around. Yeah, and really nice. But at the same time, there's a cohesiveness to the whole project. So it doesn't feel like 6 different songwriters just kind of glomming stuff together. So really nice job. Even the way I noticed certain lyrical themes repeating and stuff like that. So that was it's really cool.
Yep.
How so this is session 4 for songwriting, I think, right?
I believe.
It's the third session, but it's the fourth. Yeah. It's the first
4
session.
Bands,
there were 2 bands.
This is the 4th release.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were 2 concurrent releases for last summer, and then there was 1 fall, and then this current one. Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. Yep, this COVID time warp, it just gets.
Oh
me.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how, if so, and how has your sort of writing and production process evolved as you've continued to do this over the last year?
I think we've gotten better at it because we've kind of figured out the whole setup, the whole order of operation. So that's why we're able to get it done more efficiently and have exponential growth of the amount of songs that we have made.
Yeah.
First time it was 3, then it was 6, now it's 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's literally doubling. Yeah.
Yes.
We were joking about how the next one's gonna be a double album.
All right.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna have to be 24
tracks.
songs, right? Yeah.
That's the plan.
Or just start with the greatest hits record, right?
Yeah. I feel like the from a writing aspect, obviously with COVID restrictions and social distancing and stuff, a lot of people have had a lot more time to write. And now that things are clearing up and people are getting more used to the new way of life here, I think early 2021 was when, at least for me, I started really honing in on the whole aspect of this is happening, so I should start doing stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of just sort of hanging out and being sad all the time.
Right.
So I guess I channel a lot of that into the few lyrics that I do on this record, but more so in the music. I really just sort of wanted to strive to make a more upbeat record than the last one, and a little bit more of a hectic and fun and just like playful vibe.
Can I build off what Will said? And I think that's the big change of this record is way more upbeat than the last one, because the last one was kind of, looking back at it, was pretty dark.
Well,
Because that was like the deep end of that. That was like fall 2020.
Yeah, I think the
Like
time
really-
period has a lot to do with that, because I think
Things are looking up again.
yeah, right now especially, I think everybody needs some good positive mental attitudes.
Like, yeah, there's obviously the light at the end of the COVID tunnel, it seems, and just the change of the weather just means you know even with restrictions you can do more stuff. And I also just think winter to spring, often people are in a better mood. It's just right.
I've never been so excited for warm weather before in my entire life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to go through kind of track by track and just get some of your commentary, but one of the things I also was really noticing, even though you had this compressed amount of time to put this together, is that it doesn't feel like there's a lot of filler of any kind on the record. It's just, you know, all the songs are crafted and it really works end to end. And so, you know, it didn't feel like you're like, oh yeah, we want to get it to 47 minutes, so let's just stick this one thing on there. You know, there was none of that.
Yeah, I think I don't want to feel like the only one talking. I want to give other people some shots to, you know, say stuff. But I think, and again, a big part of that is because there's like 5 people writing material. And even with like when people write 2 songs, they don't even necessarily sound that similar. Case in point, I think Stargazing and Highlands are some of the 2 most like different songs on the record in and of itself, because they're the 2 longest ones. And I don't know, I just a lot of the choices that were made with like production and arrangement and stuff for those, I think they're really special and stick out. But as for filler, yeah, I don't think there's that. If there is some, there's not that much.
No, I certainly didn't hear it going through it, so that was very cool.
Well, going off what Will said, in addition to the fact there are 6 people, or not 6 people, 5 people writing song parts, even though each one of us have at least 2 songwriting credits, each of us still brought more than 2 song ideas to the table at the very beginning. So we still pick and chose from a huge list of potential ideas.
That's
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Jesse, you obviously had a chance to see all these bands sort of, you know, go through this exercise a few times. I mean, do you see obvious sort of evolution to this process and what you're seeing?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, a number of these guys are crafty veterans going, like you said, in the beginning, right back to the beginning of the Songwriting Band kind of seeds being planted last summer. And I think, at least Trent and Ellis have been in the same band from the very beginning as the bands have evolved. And some of us, at least 2. So now it's just gotten to a well-oiled machine kind of vibe where it's like we set up our weekly meeting. We've got a timeline of kind of deadlines or goals planned, and everybody's just carrying their weight, doing their thing, and it's more just like business-like in one respect, but in another respect, I think everybody's also more laid back and having fun with it because there is a set of preemptive expectations and outcomes based on prior experience. So it's like we're getting to work, we're getting it done. It's like business at hand. Here's what we got to do next week. Okay, we got it. We're good. But at the same time, everybody's kind of lighthearted, laid back, joking around in meetings. You know, it's like we're not frantic or like, oh, what are we gonna do next week? It's the end. You know, so it's evolved, great. I think, wonderfully, and it's been really nice to see it. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that you're describing sort of this structure in which you can be very creative. I mean, I think that's actually I think a point that sometimes is not emphasized in projects, that you know, in some ways creating some structure can really allow for a lot of creativity to flow, because you know you also have some constraints to live with, right? And that can actually help, I think, the creative process sometimes.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And one thing I want to mention too, which kind of coincides with what we're talking about vis-a-vis how the groups have evolved and the process has streamlined over time and everybody's gained experience. Despite the fact that this is a 12-track full-length, what did you say, Ellis?
47 minutes.
47-minute LP. This is also simultaneously the first songwriting session where we came in perfectly on time and didn't have to do any like stretch goals or stretching of like the deadlines of anything. It was like right on the money. Like if you looked at our outline of like what was going to transpire in middle of February when we really first got rolling, week by week, just dead on, perfect. So I really couldn't be more proud of these guys for
yeah, and I think that has to also speak to the level, I mean, just a really high level of creativity flowing out of all of you in terms of you know, like to produce those kinds of ideas or playing riffs or parts or whatever you're putting together. And then also just a real team commitment to showing up for each other and delivering your parts on time and committing to each other to do your best work. So that's awesome to hear. I love that, you know, from several angles. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and into what I just wanted to throw a quick shout out to. Well, I would love to shout out everybody here, but I wanted to give a specific shout out to Brody because as you know, he had some big shoes to step into. You know, Alex was a longtime veteran,
Sure.
And really a veteran of the process, and had a lot of recording experience just on his own in general, and was a great singer. And so Brody was essentially stepping into that role with everybody else more or less being kind of in their pre-existing roles. And he knocked it out. And like he said, despite having to leave early for an extended trip to Florida, yeah, just delivered great vocals, did everything right on time, and you know, stepped into those shoes as if he'd already been a veteran member. So yeah, it was really great. Yeah,
Thank you.
Good on him for that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And Brody, I mean, just overall have been a really great addition. The work that you've done in the cover bands too. So thanks for. I'm glad you are part of K.A.R. and thanks for you know, really diving in with both feet.
Yeah, I'm having a wonderful time.
Cool. Well, take me through some of the tracks. So I took a listen through and made a few notes of things I was hearing along the way, and you know, really enjoyed the record. You know, on the first couple tracks, I you know, lots of really nice keyboard work and lots of really big guitar stuff, but you did the guitars in a way that didn't just overpower. I thought that was well. So tell me about the first couple tracks.
Well, I think the first track specifically, the title track, I sort of like came up with that to have a vibe like the opener on the Electric Light Orchestra album Out of the Blue, I believe it's called Turn to Stone. It has this really cool like 12/8 like vibe to it, and so I wanted to have that like swung, like continuous, like, if that makes any sense, like punching type of vibe where it's like the energy doesn't really stop for the last two odd minutes of the song.
Cool.
And actually, for the solo, at the end of that one,
I recorded 2 takes. I was expecting you would use one or the other, and then you like put them together, and it worked.
I did not expect the two of them to work together as well as they did.
But one part of this, like the 2 solos I recorded, like one solo like harmonized over itself.
It was crazy. Like I put those in, and immediately I was like, okay, this is my new favorite song on the record.
Yeah.
It was very fast. Like I was like, I'm loving this. So thank you for that.
Were there parts on the album, Trent and Ellis, where you all harmonized your solos together with each other, or when we hear harmonized, is that one of you kind of doubling your own? Because there's a few. I think there's a few spots.
I think in Stargazing it was kind of harmonized, or kind of like weaving in and out of each other.
Yeah, I heard that.
I can't think of any other occurrences, but mostly, yeah.
Well, for all the instances, what I can think of is that Ellis recorded the I guess the main guitar track for it, and then I would come back and do I guess a filler part for it to try and play a complementary but not carbon copy of his solo or his rhythm work, just to add to the track as a whole.
And where do we
Yeah.
who all contributed guitars? I mean, obviously Ellis and Trent, you played, but did other folks play guitar too? I mean, all five of you played.
I believe that. See, this is kind of weird because I think everybody played guitar on at least one track. I don't actually know. I know I did.
I only did vocals.
No, you did guitar on Incurable though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but not on the actual. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I have no idea if I played guitar. I know I played bass on a couple songs.
Okay, cool.
I don't know, but I know for a fact that all of us at least brought ideas with guitar parts, and for specific things.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that being sort of multi-instrumental is interesting in the writing process too. I mean, Braden, I'm assuming you played a ton of keyboards, like a lot of the keyboard stuff we were hearing.
Yeah, I think I'd say 70-80% of all the keyboard stuff is him, and the rest of it is just he already played keyboards on this song, and I needed to put in an organ or a synth bit,
sure,
to fill it out.
Yeah.
And so the keyboard stuff we're hearing on those first couple tracks, Braden, did you come up with those riffs, or was that written and you played them?
Them were I had chords written out, and then I had
worked out your riffs.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the track Ideca, I think me and Braden sort of wrote that together just one night, just sort of jamming. And I don't even remember who was playing what. He might have been on drums, he might have been on keyboards, but I think I might have come up with that first bit, but he sort of turned it into the full song.
Yeah, and then how about let's move on to Highland. So big guitar stuff in that song.
Yeah, that was the first ideas of guitar that I brought to the table was for Highlands, but it was actually the last one I finished. And I kind of forgot about it, and then when we were at the edge of the writing portion of the process, I just suddenly remembered that I had that and then quickly finished it. So yeah, that was a big guitar track. Also the biggest cello track, because I also played cello on that song.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember hearing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Trying to think of what other commentary I have to have on that song, but yeah, I'm really proud of that middle section.
Very nice.
Oh yeah.
And it put a lot of effort into that. And I think who played the piano in that part, because that also gave a really big. Really
are you
epic.
talking about the bit where the guitar and the cello switch?
Yeah.
I think that was Will.
Yeah, I think I actually played the little complimentary piano thing on that.
That was the song I did.
I like that. It was just the trade-off between the cello and the guitar, and then I think that added the rhythm to it and made it sound even more epic than it already was.
Yeah, that was when I had my last session meeting with the guys. I did a run through of category favorites, based on different arbitrary criteria, and that my personal MVP track of the album was Highlands. I just thought it was
yeah. All right. So if you're watching this, check out Highlands, right? That's we'll probably play a little snippet of it underneath here, but yeah. Cool. All right. So then all right. Segway. All right is next. So that one started with kind of a cool keyboard intro riff, and then there's a blazing chromatic solo situation around 3 minutes, I noticed, and then a big vocal thing comes in around 4 minutes. That was a big fun change. The record overall, there was lots of vocal stuff going on. I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. So tell me about All Right.
Yeah. I think that was, I don't know about when some of the other people came up with their songs, but if I'm to my memory, or to what I'm thinking, this is at least definitely the first song that I wrote for the record, and I'd actually been sitting on that riff. Me and Braden had actually come up with it while we were jamming with one of our friends, and that was like late summer, like August or maybe September of 2020. So like that was long before the winter session even started. Yeah. And I guess I just wanted to turn that into a bigger thing for it. Like have it, you know, progress through the all the like changes and stuff. And actually the chromatic thing,
it's actually harmonic.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like it's a chromatic like going up the scale or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I used Phrygian dominant.
Phrygian dominant is the best scale or the best mode, I guess.
It's a great one, especially for like the blazing like hard rock.
Yeah, and yeah, I liked. I didn't actually have a drum beat for that for a while. Like it was just like this huge like, and it sounded terrible. And I was like, what if I add just a stupid dance beat? And then it actually sounded pretty cool. So I'm glad that I did that. Yeah, it's just cool to know that that's sort of one of the biggest examples of like a project of studio, or not even studio, like home studio screwing around over winter break, you know? Like that's like
I remember last time, because I commented on like the whole like kind of vocal situation on the outro.
Yeah.
Of All Right, because I really like that part. I've had that stuck in my head a couple times.
I think that was maybe the
Saying
last
how
thing.
you did that.
That was me and Will doing
Yeah.
mastering.
That was like post all of the mixing for the song. We had like the main bit down, but we needed more like substance. So we did maybe 10 vocal takes, like just doing the acapella and clapping. And we kept it going for a good while. And after that was done, we sent the files off. So that was maybe, I think, yeah, that was the last song finished and the first song started for the record. So that one took the longest.
Sorry, Braden, what did you say? You suggested something?
I suggested we do like the crowd type vocals with the layers on layers.
Very
that was all him.
Yeah.
Very convincing.
Yeah, super cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're, hearing you talk about, it's just sort of, playing something, coming up with it, or I've had this riff around since whatever, it's underscoring something I've been talking with some of my students about lately, which is like, as you're studying music and learning, working on technique and all these things, like, try to take some time periodically to just sit down and play for the joy of it, right? Like, don't lose the joy of just playing your instrument and fumbling into something you like, or even a cover that you're enjoying playing or whatever. But I think there has to be some balance there, right?
Here.
Yeah, super cool. Okay, so then we're into Bad News, which was like a super rocking tune, and I see Trent and Brody some writing credits here along with Will. Tell me about this one.
All right, I'll start because I think my guitar riff initially is kind of what was the birth of this song.
Whoa.
I can't even remember if this was during a meeting or just on my own time, but I was just sitting down playing my guitar, and I happened to just come across the first part of that song, the intro of it, I guess, that kind of fast part where I'm doing like a double note thing. That was a lead lick idea that I had just stumbled across. And then the second part, which is the actual main riff, I just happened to stumble across that riff too, just messing around playing on the guitar. And then as I guess refined it a little bit more, I'd been listening to a lot of the band Extreme lately, and I think I kind of either consciously or subconsciously was inspired by that. So that's kind of where I came from with the guitar.
Yeah, some of those shredding riffs that really drive into the song. Yeah, because there was that neat intro, and then that riff just really drives from there. Yeah,
that was definitely the grooviest track on the album.
Yeah, in my
the best grooves.
In my mentions in our final meeting, this was what I call the hookiest earworm track.
Yeah.
Like this song, after listening to the album a couple times, this song was just like stuck in my head all day, and in a really good way. You know, like.
Brody, tell me about your what were you bringing to this song?
Well, I feel that well, first of all, you can obviously tell which riffs are Trent's for sure if you can hear us playing. So I thought his riffs were kind of could take the types of lyrics that match exactly with how the riff is going, like, you know what I mean? So it took me a second to find like a tempo a little bit, but I liked how he had the different parts of the songs of his riffs, like they just matched up with the lyrics well, like the slow part, and then like the chorus fast part, and then it would slow back down again, and then so forth. It matched well with vocals. It was not very difficult to add vocals to. So brilliant riff.
Yeah. I'd like to point out that I don't know if it was in this song or the song Disaster. I believe it was in this one, but it was during Trent's like solo where it's just him. If you soloed Brody's vocals at that point, and I think me and Braden are the only two that know this.
No,
I
know exactly what you're talking about.
I heard it.
Because I did the preliminary mix of this track, Will, and I know exactly what you're going to say. I left it in there on purpose. I did not cut it out.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm excited. What is this?
If you solo the vocals, or even in Trent's mix, as he said, about halfway through the solo, you can hear Brody go, "All right, get it, Trent."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was listening to that.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to listen more closely.
I forgot about that. I remember that.
Is it like buried? Because it was pretty like when I saw like the original, it was pretty like prominent.
That's funny.
Well, the cool part of that particular section is that it's only the solo guitar. There's no, I believe it's just drums and the solo guitar. There's no bass. There's no backup guitar. It's just the guitar solo.
Pretty sure I played bass to it. But I don't know what bass part I did play.
Yeah, the bass comes in like halfway through, I think, and it's playing like the main riff thing under it, which sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, because I played. Yeah.
Actually, now that I'm looking at it, maybe I screwed this up, but I think it might be in Disaster. Actually, I have the thing pulled up, so I'm gonna look at it.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it seems like you all are really enjoying each other's playing and each other's contributions to the song too, right? Which just makes things even more.
Yeah.
That's fun. That to hear that story about sort of, listening as you're cutting the vocals over the top. So cool. So then halfway through we get 18. Who
oh yeah.
played the flute?
Yeah, the flute, that was quite the production choice, and I think it benefited. So I decided to add the flute. First, I should preface this by saying that 18 is, I think, the only one where I'm the only one playing on it. It's just like 3 of my guitar parts and a flute part that I played on this keyboard here.
Okay, so that was a keyboard flute. That wasn't
it wasn't a real flute, sadly.
Okay.
I like how that song just straight up sounds like medieval or something.
Yeah, I was sort of going for like a
Lord of the Rings soundtrack.
Yeah, I don't even know what I was going for. I was just sort of jamming. And originally the song was in a much higher key. I think I had a capo on like the 9th fret playing that. But I moved it down to fit the acoustic because I had some really thick strings on it. Like almost bass guitar gauge on the bottom E string, but I just wanted it to feel like a little bit more impactful in a way. And
it wasn't because you can't play that notes that high on the flute.
Definitely not. Nope, that wasn't it at all. 100%.
Yeah, this 18 again, this is another song that got one of my little awards. I said this was definitely, I thought this was like the vibingest track on the album. It had just a vibe unto itself. Like it's so evocative. It just takes you places, you know.
Right.
And I'm very early in the session. I don't know if Will and the guys remember me mentioning this, but when Will had, I think, kind of floated a demo or whatever of it, rough, I said, "Oh, this is just like it puts me in the mind of Oh Well Part 2 by the original Fleetwood Mac, like Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, like the somber, like almost like Western kind of thing that comes after the classic Oh Well."
I think I told him it sounded like the intro to Battery by Metallica.
Oh yeah, actually, that might have been what I was thinking.
Like a soundtracky kind of quality, and this 18 very much put me in that kind of mindset. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think I was sort of going for now that I'm just sort of re-listening to it in my headphones a little bit. Now that I've heard it again, I sort of think that I was going for a mix of the intro to Battery and of course, funny that you mentioned Fleetwood Mac because I was really vibing with The Chain for like a solid week when I wrote that. And I think that was like mid-February, so it was pretty early in the sessions, and I just sort of came up with that.
Cool.
And it just goes to show a night and some creativity can go a long way.
Right, and then we jump to Street Fights and Satellites, and we get an organ intro and another different sound for the record here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's see, who did there was a nice guitar solo on that tune too.
That was me.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I just improv'd it.
Very cool.
Well, this is the song that Brody wrote, so I'll leave it off to him.
It was just some simple bar chords some power chords because you can do a lot with power chords. So I was just messing around with those and came up with something.
Cool.
I guess.
Yeah, that's great. And then Trent and Brody, you have writing credits on Disaster.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another situation where I came up with the guitars.
Yeah.
And then Brody came up with the lyrics, which once again he did a fantastic job putting lyrics to that riff.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that again, really impressive guitar opener, lots of cool riffs through the whole thing. And Ellis, looks like you were playing bass on that one.
Yeah. The one thing I did bass differently on both the songs I played bass. I think this one I used kind of like a crunchy, distorted bass, kind of like Lemmy from Motorhead.
Yeah.
That was kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Also, to bring up, I really like that the guitar lead like before the verse. That was one of my favorite guitar parts on the album.
Cool. This is another one where there were a lot of backing vocals. Brody, was I picking up a little Guns N' Roses influence on this one? Like, or was I projecting that, knowing that you're a fan of the band?
Not really. If I'm being completely honest, I go through phases of bands that I like, and it will go in and out. Like, they're the best band of all time, or whatever. And then like a couple weeks later, I'm done. So like at that point, I was kind of out of my GNR phase. I know it's still up there because I still listen to them, but I was just honestly, I didn't really have much inspiration at all.
Okay.
I would just listen to the guitar riff over and over and just try to feel the vibe, and it was very fast and upbeat, so I just took an upbeat type of vibe, I guess. Okay. I don't really have much inspiration for it. I guess my inspiration, I don't know.
Yeah, to me, it sort of vibes like if Lemmy, as Ellis said, if Lemmy was in Guns N' Roses. That's what this song would be.
Fair enough. And then we moved on to Stargazing.
Yeah.
Right. Another nice guitar opener on that one, and some cool atmospheric keyboards and.
Yeah.
And this song, this was the one that I came to the ideas second, but then I finished it first since everything flowed in well. I meticulously put together every chord progression in that song because I was like, I wanted all the chords to be perfect to each other, and I was really proud of like the chord voicings and the layers in that song, because that was kind of the whole point, to be like the spacey layers and stuff. And yeah.
This
And
song definitely has the most in it.
Yeah.
The most dense, because it's got drums, it's got orchestral stuff. I actually multi-tracked the orchestral stuff like one line at a time, like one cello, one violin, one tuba.
Wow.
You know, just and I actually scored that out in a program, and then put that to piano essentially.
Sweet.
Or keyboard or whatever. So I think that turned out pretty good.
I know the whole build up bridge part. I've had that like those like arpeggios along. That was a riff I had for a while, and I was like, this is a good place to put it.
Yes.
And yeah, there's a solo that's kind of weaving between me and Trent. So
yeah.
Oh,
very cool.
That's like the climax that kind of gets the most busy, and then it entirely drops out to the outro.
Cool. So that was a scenario where you guys were trading off on the riffs.
Yeah.
Nice. And Braden playing bass on that one?
I had a ton of fun playing bass on that. It was really cool. Yeah.
Man.
That's great.
We were talking about Fleetwood Mac earlier. The intro to this at least sort of reminds me of the Fleetwood Mac tune Albatross.
Okay.
Or Sun King by the Beatles. Like,
sure.
Like psychedelic
Okay.
major 7 chord,
Sure.
pedal bass stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. And then track 10, Incurable. This is a Brody solo.
Again, not really much inspiration at all. I was just, I guess I like, if I'm going to jam or try to make a riff on my guitar, I usually go straight to bar chords first. I just know a lot of them, I guess. So
Right,
there's a wide variety of things I can play with them. And it's basically just about, quarantined, I guess, and being quarantined and not being able to see lots of the people that you used to see and people that you like and love. So that was basically the storyline behind it, I guess.
Yeah, and that it seems like that theme comes up a couple of times lyrically on the album as a whole. So that's a nice.
Yeah, it was. I think that's on my mind a lot, and it's on everybody's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very relatable song for anybody, right now. It's really, really nice tune.
Yeah.
Really well written, lyrically well written,
Yeah. And was that a vocal double? Like, did you do 2 takes of the vocals, or was that a mixing choice?
I believe it was actually he sent me a demo that was guitar and vocals both like packaged into one audio file, and then he also later sent another vocal take that was just isolated vocals, and I put them together, even though I could have just like asked for the guitar track solo, because I wanted it to feel more substantive, and less like mono and like just one point.
Sure.
Especially since it's like a 3-minute song. I didn't want it to feel like 3 minutes of guitar and a little vocal in the middle and nothing interesting going on.
Yeah, nice production. And I think that helps maybe adhere it to the overall album too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the album is very produced. Yeah.
Yeah. Not overly so, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's a smart choice to create that continuity, especially in this situation where you're writing lots of different things and you're all working in different spaces, and so.
Yes.
So then, Information Age, another this has got loads of stuff on it, cello and whirly and strings, keyboards. Tell me more.
Well, I think I pretty much wrote the entirety of this, except for like other people's parts. Like came up with a lot of the, like, pretty much all of the chord structures and the, you know, like the groove of it and the tempo and like how it vibed. And I wrote all the lyrics as well. This one and a couple of others I did pretty much all the lyrics on. But this one especially is a lot of like pretty personal-ish, not really personal lyrics, because I tend to write very, what's the term that people use?
Oh, stream of consciousness?
Yeah, stream of consciousness. That's what it's called. I tend to write very stream of consciousness, and yeah, I guess that was sort of a project of that. I was just sort of playing the little like whirly riff over and over again, and then, you know, like obviously translating that to all the different instruments and making a demo of it took a while. And I actually had that chorus, like the, you know, what a dangerous game is the information age, that thing, like separate for a long time, just as its own like part. And then I sort of combined that with the rest of the song to give it a chorus. And the last good minute and a half are a good 6 key changes, I believe, or at least 5.
Lots.
5.5, basically. And yeah, I used this. I essentially really, for the last, you know, that section, a lot of it was heavily influenced by a band called Tally Hall that everybody wants me to shut up about. So I won't spend forever talking about them, but
it's all good.
I guess I've been really influenced by their sort of lack of any type of pretension, you know, because they make music that they want to make, so it always comes off as really fun. And that's sort of what I wanted this song to have, the energy of, like, very playful, groovy type of thing that doesn't really have to stick to any formula or whatever. Not to sound too pretentious, but
oh, that's cool. And then Greenhouse, total change of pace to end the record.
Oh yeah, the show tune.
Yeah, this was my pick for well, I say in air quotes, best produced track, because man, what a production! Like, yeah, it sounds so nice. Like yeah, absolutely.
I think this is another one that I made, and it was actually, I was showing it to Alex, who we were talking about earlier, and we were originally like kind of planning on having it on the EP, but we decided against it just because it was sort of not where the direction that it was going, because it was like, you know, like super happy and dumb and
very They Might Be Giants.
Very They Might Be Giants.
Oh, it's like,
yeah, that
could have been an outtake from like, yeah, Apollo 18 or something. Yeah.
There's a track on their 1988 album Lincoln, and it's called Kiss Me Son of God.
Oh yeah.
That is a big influence on this one, especially with the like the horns that I composed. Sort of had that vibe of like,
now that you say it, it's like, yeah, totally. Yep.
Yeah. And that track itself was a product of being stuck at home virtually and in school, virtual school. I essentially came up with that riff, and I don't mean to incriminate myself too much, but I came up with that riff, and then I skipped my 5th period so that I could record it.
I thought
because I didn't want to lose it from my head. So yeah. I pretty much scored the entirety of that during when I was supposed to be in Spanish.
Sometimes creativity can't wait.
Yeah. That's devotion to your craft, my man.
I hope my Spanish teacher doesn't see this.
The lightning round, favorite track on the album and why? Trent, you're first.
I don't want to just go ahead and say one of my tracks because that sounds really arrogant of me. But I got to be honest, when I recorded Bad News, that just by itself, I just really enjoyed playing that. It's just a real fun song to play all the way through its entire length.
Cool.
So that's probably going to be my pick right there.
Given how good that one is, I don't think it would be arrogant of you to pick your own track. I'm gonna pick my own track, not to give too much of a hint.
Braden,
I don't know. Like, it's difficult because I really like the beginning of Greenhouse Gases, like the piano part right before the. Yeah, I really like that part.
Yeah.
But I also really like Bad News and Highlands because they're like. Bad News is such like a catchy song, and Highlands I loved playing on. That was like super fun to play. I'm probably gonna say Highlands because I really liked playing that one.
cool. That's awesome. Ellis, how about you?
It's hard to pick a favorite because they're all so good, but if I had to pick a favorite, just including my own tracks, probably the title track, because that's like such a like well done, well composed, catchy but epic song.
Yeah.
And probably All Right too, since that grooves pretty well and I like the outro a lot. It was fun to play the solo on it. So yeah, those are probably my two favorites.
Cool. Brody, how about you? Favorite tune and why?
You know, I can't really say like one specifically right now because it was like when we were about to start writing this album, it was kind of, I wanted it like, I didn't want it one specific style. I wanted like a variety of different things. And I think that all kind of came into play because we all kind of have different styles of music we want to play and what we like. So each song kind of goes into its own category, you know, of like, that's a good slow song, that's a good heavy fast song, you know. But yeah, I like Bad News. That was I like that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Will, how about you?
Well, Bad News certainly seems to be a very popular pick here. But just because of, if I had to pick a song that wasn't mine, I would go with Bad News, first of all. But since I can pick my own songs, I will say that my favorite is the track Information Age. Because that one was a lot of hard work that I think really came together. And it's sort of the most me of the tracks on the record.
Okay. Nice. And Jesse, obviously you've commented along the way on some of the award-winning tracks from your perspective. Do you want to comment on a favorite, or do you want to dodge that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna dodge it.
Instructor's prerogative. I love all the songs.
No, because like I mean, like again, like I had said earlier, I would say like I awarded the MVP track to Highlands, but I wouldn't say it's like my favorite track on the album. At the same time, I would say like there's a lot about it that just bowled me over, but really I would be kind of bummed out if any track was taken off the album.
Right.
You know, like if I'd already heard it existing the way it is, and anything was
Yeah, I agree.
I'd be really bummed. You know, yeah, like there's bombastic stuff like Highlands, then you have like Incurable or 18, and it just and everything in between, and you know, and big hooks like Bad News, obviously, and so it's not to dodge the question, but I think yeah, I as a director, it's hard for me not to just hear it as a complete package and just go like, wow, this is a really nice formed concept, you know, that they brought to the table. Yeah.
We should just recommend the listeners all just listen it all the way through, because no matter if they just listen to a couple songs, they're missing out on all the other songs. Yeah. Just listen to all 47 minutes front to
47 back. 47 minutes well spent.
Which is so rare. now with the way music is delivered to listen to a whole album. So it's I think it's quite a compliment to that Jesse just gave you all, and especially knowing, you know, Jesse, what a great musician you are, to have that kind of perspective, which I think is a cool way to put it. That like you would miss any of the songs if they were taken off the record. That's high praise.
And we whipped it out quick too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only a couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my notes,
I've waited 3 years for bands to release albums of the same length.
Yeah, same.
In my notes,
I'm waiting right now.
Yeah, in my notes from our final meeting, I had pointed out to these guys they should be really proud that we started on February 5th. That was our, you know, technically our first meeting, and 2.5 months from our first meeting to the sign off on a 12-track full LP.
That is
crazy.
Incredible.
Just amazing work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great job to all of you. Thank you again for your hard work. This has been really fun. And again, for everyone watching, this is Our Side of the Wall, a 12-track, 47-minute epic from the K.A.R. Songwriting Band, Taboo. It will be on our SoundCloud page. It will be on our Facebook page with links over to SoundCloud. And thank you all for tuning in. And thanks to all of you for doing this interview.